right, let's get into our final segment. It is the top 5. And Evan, you came up with this idea because, number one, you're the idea man. You can tell sometimes I'm just sitting there and going like, okay, I know the show's coming up, but I have not devoted brain power sometimes to what we are going to be talking about. So you threw this out there and I was like, oh, yeah, okay, I dig this topic. So let the listeners know, what is our top 5 going to be tonight?
Top 5 cards we underestimated. So cards that we were like, I don't know. Cards maybe we didn't try to get, and then either someone used them against us or we found them. We're like, oh, that's what the fuss is about.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I think you said this too. My number 1 was easy. I didn't have too hard a time coming up with this list, but I had to work on a few of them. But I had my number 1 instantly, and it was never threatened.
My number 1 is, I'm really curious if we're going to have overlap, but my number 1 is something that took me a very long time to appreciate, and I did not think that card was worth it. So yeah, this will be interesting.
It's Quicksilver, isn't it?
Quicksilver, yes. How did you know? How did you know? All right, well, let's get into it here. Top 5, starting with number 5, and I will go first because I'm really kind of curious if this guy's on your list. And if he is, we'll set him aside. Number 5, Cannonball.
Nope, not on my list.
All right. So, yeah, the reason why it was number 5...
I underestimated him for like 5 whole minutes? Or...
It took me... Well, I remember...
You were ahead of the curve on Cannonball.
I knew what I was thinking, how this was going to work. I didn't realize it was going to work so well that it would take me to infinite. That is, I think, where the underestimation comes in. The fact that I was like, hey, and it also very well could be the only time in Snap Material history where I set a strategy that worked and got me to infinite. There's never been another time.
Well, they had to nerf the crap out of it.
Right. They had to, so Cannonball, I was like, okay, well, I'm going to be able to move him, and we'll get Professor X involved here, so we can't move him and we'll destroy it. And I'm like, okay, this has the potential to work. But yeah, I feel like I underestimated just how powerful that could be. I had no idea it would skyrocket me into infinite within a week or so. Very, very short time after I started putting it together. So I was definitely surprised at how effective Cannonball was going to be. That's my number 5. What's your number 5?
You had no idea how high you could fly.
Oh, my goodness. That, my friends, is a Cannonball joke, just in case you don't read comics.
No, that was actually an Office quote.
That was an Office quote?
Yes, or an Office reference, anyway.
Okay. It was an Office reference and a comic book reference because Cannonball can fly, folks. See,
there you go.
I brought it around.
Works on so many levels.
What's your number 5?
My number 5 was Grandmaster.
The Grandmaster. You know, I really wanted this card to work for me. I wanted to build decks around him. And now I'm hearing you come up with stuff all the time to use him. And it sounds like this Grandmaster Cable pairing is something that's got to happen for me. But go ahead, continue.
Or Grandmaster. Oh, sorry, I started to say Grandmaster Cassandra Nova, but I don't want to.
Oh man.
Yeah, he's like limited fake Odin.
Okay.
He gets you another on reveal. We're building strategies around Wong. We're bringing in Absorbing Man and Odin. And not only does Grandmaster get you one more shot of an on reveal ability, he moves somebody into the middle. So now it's true you can't pick who. I forget what I was playing with him the other day, and I put him down, and I really wanted him to use like Cable or Zemo, and instead he just sent magic to the center and gave me another turn 7. So it's not like Odin where everything happens again, but I don't know. He wasn't on my radar when he came out, and I know I got him in a Spotlight Cache when I was aiming for somebody else. I think it was Thena. But yeah, he was worth the key. He fits into a lot of decks with on reveals, and like I said, just was a card that I didn't really pay a lot of attention to. I'm like, okay, he can move stuff. On reveal, great. There's other ways to bring back on reveals, and there are, but there's not many cheaper ways to do it.
That's true. That's true.
So now the only thing we need is a Goldblum variant.
Yes. Signed, please.
Yes,
signed.
Absolutely.
And he doesn't even have to be dressed as Grandmaster. It could just be him hanging out by whatever he's doing on the Disney Channel these days.
And maybe that's too hard to do. He's a busy guy, but sometimes Snap finds a way.
Yes. That's not an Office reference.
No, it's not.
That's a good one. All right, so we're going to number 4, and that's you. What's your number 4?
Number 4 is a card we just talked about not long ago, and I have talked about before. My disdain for this card is well documented on this show, and it's not so much the card as the character, but I have to admit he'd be pretty useful in a Surfer deck, just like they were in Defenders number 117, Sebastian Shaw.
Sebastian Shaw. Yeah.
I looked at it when he came out, and I'm like, yeah, I could see where that would be useful, but it's Sebastian friggin' Shaw.
And you're putting a card on here that you do not have. So my guess is that you have just been beaten quite a few times by Sebastian Shaw.
Not quite a few times, but it happened, and I'm like, oh, that's not a son of a gun. And as much as I like Surfer decks, I'm seeing them a lot. I don't check the stats. I know people are like, well, they nerfed this because of the statistics, and they do this based on data, and I'm just like, I don't know. I don't think that card's okay. But it feels like Silver Surfer's having a moment, and Shaw is like the best running mate for him, and I haven't gotten him. I actually had 6,000 tokens the other day, pulled the trigger on White Widow pretty quickly, and I was like, should I have gotten Sebastian Shaw? I don't think I should have gotten Sebastian Shaw. I'm happy with my purchase, but the fact that I even thought of it tells me something.
Yeah. He is a card that I always, as soon as I see him on the board, you kind of know what the strategy is usually that you're going to be facing. Mm-hmm. So you start strategizing like, okay, how can I limit his impact? Because he is going to be a big impact player by turn 6 or 7, whatever that happens.
I think Strong Chi and Red Guardian, if you can get him early enough. But he starts out as a 4 power, so it's hard to tag him with Red Guardian.
Right. Well, heading to my number 4. Speaking of Red Guardian. This is very recent. This is something that I think you were touting the advantage of having Red Guardian in your deck, and I was like, I don't know. Then that C3 deck that I put together has Red Guardian in it.
Oh, yeah.
He has destroyed a lot of players' hopes. Especially when that Iron Man's laying down there, and then all of a sudden here comes Onslaught. Oh, I'm sorry, Iron Man no longer is going to double power. Matter of fact, he's got a -2 now.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's helped out quite a bit here recently, especially in the C3 deck. He's one that can change a game, to be honest, if you hit the right card. Sunspot, Nebula. And those are cards that are sitting around there real early, and they're trying to gain power in order to take over a lane. And there was one, gosh, what card was it? I was playing a guy this morning. It was either this morning or late last night, where I Red Guardian whatever he had out there, and immediately he retreated. He's like, nope, done. Yeah. Not even messing with it. So Red Guardian can turn.
Yeah, nice to hit Wong with him.
Oh yeah. That might have been it. It might have been Wong that I took out. And he was just like, okay, I'm done. I'll see you later.
That's just Wong.
All right. We're moving to number 3, and I get to go. Number 3. This is a card that I've used in a good while back. I haven't had a chance. He hasn't made much of a resurgence lately, but has won me the game, and I underestimated this guy. Really. And then I finally put together a Shadow King. Well, it wasn't a Shadow King deck, but it was Shadow King in a deck who levels the playing field. And I think a lot of this had to do with Destroy. I was looking for an answer to Destroy. And Shadow King, by the way, Shadow King will, when you lay him out, he's an on reveal, and he changes everybody to their original power. If you catch him on Sebastian Shaw, if you catch him on Sunspot, he has, and I know I've shared it on the Twitter as well, he has come through. Shadow King was the unlikely hero for quite a few games, and I haven't used him in a while. I want to go back to him. So, Shadow King, my number 3. What is your number 3, Evan Bevins?
I thought about Shadow King, but
okay.
I don't know if I underestimated him or if I just still don't know how he works.
It's the one of those few cards where you're just like, I think I know what's going on.
Yeah, Shadow King, I don't think I can underestimate him because I don't know how to properly use him to estimate him at all. So,
Gotcha.
Shadow King is a constant disappointment to me, even though maybe it's not all the time his fault.
All right, well, what's your number 3?
My number 3 is another card that perhaps I underestimated because I dislike the character so much, but he's a dislikable guy.
Okay.
And it didn't help that I didn't care for many of his variants. But I finally found a cool variant and some cards that work with him, so I have to admit that maybe I didn't give the Hood the credit he deserves.
The Hood. Yes, every time I brought him up, or we played a battle and you saw the Hood, you never really had kind things to say.
Well, he's a jerk.
He's a jerk.
Yeah, I don't like the character or a lot of variants, but once I got over that, I had to admit the guy can be dangerous, particularly when he's paired with someone that can get him out of the way once he delivers his demon. So
Right.
Viper, Annihilus,
Right.
Carnage. I'm no fan of Carnage, but if there's somebody I want to see Carnage ripped to shreds, it's Parker Robbins, aka the Hood. So there's an added incentive to get rid of this annoying wannabe crime boss / wizard.
You like that?
So not only is the card useful, but like in game and in story, I want him to go away.
Very nice.
So yeah, and that I didn't say Shaw's ability last time. So the Hood, play the Hood. He's a 1-cost -3 power. He gives you a 1-cost 6 power demon, which can be very useful. And then it's in your best interest to get rid of the Hood. So he messes around with demons and anything to give himself power, and then you want him to go away. So it's pretty daggone comic accurate.
Yeah, agreed. All right. Well, what do you got for? So that was your number 3, right?
Mm-hmm.
Number 2. What do you got for number 2?
Number 2, another card that I'd seen a lot. I knew what it did, and I was just like, eh. And then finally, I think I must have gotten her in a spotlight cache. Oh, you know what? Outside looking in, Nimrod. Didn't care about Nimrod. Used Nimrod a lot once I got it. He didn't make the list.
Not a card that I use at all, ever. And not because I don't want to. It's just because I think I've hated Destroy for quite a while. For some reason, I do not play Destroy decks ever.
Come on, Jesse. That's completely unreasonable. Much more unreasonable than I didn't like what he did in Uncanny X-Men number 257, so I'm never using Sebastian Shaw. Totally different. I'm sorry. Somebody can look up X-Men 257. He probably wasn't in that. I don't have any great Sebastian Shaw stories. Yeah, he was in Dark Phoenix Saga, but
right. That's about the one I know him from.
Heck, he's been all over the Krakoa era, and there was like one page where he was anything other than, why don't they just get rid of this guy? They have to keep constantly telling us, well, here's why Shaw is useful. Here's why Shaw is a threat. I'm like, he doesn't really seem like one. Anyway, okay, whoops, tangent. So, card that I didn't care about, didn't have anything against it, just didn't see the point. And then once I got her, found Nebula is somebody you have to pay attention to.
Oh, Nebula. One card I do not have, and I kind of wish I did.
She's 1 cost, 1 power, but if your opponent doesn't play anything in her lane, she gets +2 power. Now, put Jean Grey on one lane, sit Nebula down at the other. It starts to add up. Just put her in a place where your opponent's already got a few cards or where you don't think they're going to be playing much. She can start to add up. Now, she's got a Killmonger Glassjaw, but
right.
She can be useful. And when you're playing against her, you've got to account for her. You can be like, okay, well, I don't want to mess around over here. And then suddenly you look over and they've got 7 power or something over there. So, yeah, until I got her and used her, I didn't really realize how effective she could be. Also, not a character I give a crap about in the comics. But in the movies, Karen Gillan, excellent job as Nebula. Yeah, I'll watch her in the movies, and then I'll be like, I wonder what Nebula's up to in the comics. Oh, wait, I don't care. So, yeah, she's that blue lady that showed up and did cosmic stuff when I was a kid, and the Torch had a thing for her. Johnny, come on. But not even because she was like, so no, I just didn't care. Like, so the Hood, Sebastian Shaw, I just actively dislike. Nebula, I'm like, whatever.
Yeah.
But Nebula, the card, especially my Dan Hip Nebula, that's good stuff.
I wish I had her to underestimate her. I do not have her yet. So at some point, I'll be impressed because I know it won't be a situation where I underestimate her. That's for sure, because I've faced her so many freaking times. I know what she can do.
All right. Well, Jesse, drop your number 2. Please.
Number two. So this, if it wasn't for Reddit, and if it wasn't for the fact that I was trying to figure out what was going on when I was facing opponents that were destroying me with this card sat around for quite a long time because this is my version of your Shadow King situation. This is a card I didn't understand until I finally started seeing people play it, and I started doing my research as to, okay, what now? And that's Cerebro. So Cerebro sat around for a long time, and it was a card that I was like, I'll never play it. I looked at it on the face value and did not even understand the point of the card, because it was like, give your highest cost card +2. And I'm like, well, that's stupid. I was +2, and it's a card that's going to take up space. And it didn't occur to me that get multiple cards out there with the same power, and they all get +2. Also, ongoing power can be copied by our good friend. Forgot her name all of a sudden. What's her name? Mystique.
Great friend.
What's her name?
Raven Darkholm.
Yes. The power can be copied by Mystique. So this is, I'll throw Onslaught in there, really double things up. Now it's starting to make sense to where, okay, I am using this constantly. And what even further than that, we have all sorts of different versions of decks with Cerebro in it. And I want you to tell me about this C7 that you faced.
I couldn't remember if I put that in the Alliance chat.
You mentioned it.
Yeah,
I think you did. You put it in there, but I don't know what the deck was. It's like C7.
And, Onslaught was there. I think Proxima Midnight. Yeah, clearly I didn't take notes. But yeah, Onslaught, Proxima Midnight. I want to say Ebony Maw.
Okay.
Well, I'm sorting through these by power. It was one of those that I wanted to steal, but I was chasing bounties.
Oh, man. I think the only other thing that I've heard of a C10, but I've it's like the Loch Ness Monster. You've heard about it. You've never seen it. 2
of your favorite cards are 7 power cards, Cannonball and Legion.
Oh, wow.
I want to say Black Bolt and Stature because they're always good running mates anyway. Yeah, there's only, let me see if there's any unowned cards. Okay, Blink's a 7, Cersei. There's not that many. Let's see. Ebony Maw, Swordmaster, Proxima Midnight, Stegron, War Machine now, Ajax, but he won't stay like that for long with his ability.
You don't
want him in a Cerebro deck.
Yeah.
Black Bolt, Blink, Cannonball, Legion, Sandman, Cersei, Stature, Onslaught, and Erisham. Well, there's not a lot, but you get those in there and then get a few cards to help them out, like Mystique, to double it up, maybe Zero to make it so you can play cards after Ebony Maw, or War Machine, so you can put Ebony Maw wherever you want or follow up with anybody. So, yeah, you wouldn't want Cersei in there because she'd change the complexion of it, but it'd be interesting to try.
Definitely. So I guess what it boils down to is I underestimated. That's what I did. Underestimated.
I hate when that happens.
I underestimated the versatility of Cerebro. What I thought was a very one-dimensional card. Not only did it open up to be a bigger deal than what it was, but it also, like, not on top of that, the amount of decks that can go around this card are the amount of there's a multitude of them. It makes other cards cards that you don't normally put in a deck together can sometimes run in a Cerebro deck because the only thing that they need to do is just have the same power. So that C3 deck that I'm running, none of these cards that you're seeing would make a whole lot of sense, but almost every single card in that deck make some type of a sense. Scarlet Witch, just in case you got a location that brings your power down or adds power to it. You've got Valkyrie in there just in case you get a stupid 10 power monster, and on the end on turn 5 or turn 6, whatever you want to do, you can change it to 3 power. And then all of a sudden you've got 3 power that Cerebro is going to hit. So anyway, love Cerebro, completely underestimated it for a very long time. And let's get to my number 1.
Okay.
All right. So my number 1, thanks to Evan Bevins, M'Baku is probably the most underestimated card, I would say, on this list for sure. You know how I felt about M'Baku at the beginning. I thought this is a nothing card. What a worthless waste of space.
How dare you, sir?
It's just like 1, 2, what? And I think the underestimation comes in the joy of having M'Baku win the game, because that's where it's all at. I'm looking at a 1-2 going, this guy will never make a difference. He hardly ever does. But as we have said on here multiple times, when he does make a difference, it is probably one of the greatest moments of the day when M'Baku comes in and wins. So it's the underestimation of how much joy a win by M'Baku will bring. Now, granted, what do they do? He's coming in at the lower location now, right?
Yeah,
is that how it works?
The one that has the lowest amount on it.
Which I'm really struggling to try to figure out if that's I'm trying to figure. I mean, random definitely feels obviously that's random.
Yeah.
I want him to come in on the lowest, but I swear to goodness, it seems like lately when he drops in, he's not making much of a difference as much as he used to for some reason for me. It doesn't mean I dislike him any. I may have won a game or so over this past season with M'Baku dropping in, but M'Baku definitely.
Less of a chance of him getting in your hand.
Yeah, I was gonna say M'Baku was definitely in my first Airsham deck that I created, and he was jumping in there every once in a while. So he can make a difference when the cards fall right. But yes, my number one underestimated card, and that is M'Baku. Evan Bevins, what is your number one underestimated card?
Well, M'Baku's been number one on a lot of my lists, but he didn't make this.
He wouldn't have. Yeah,
I always thought he was kind of cool. I didn't know how wonderful he was, but always liked the concept anyway. But no, the card. Not only did I underestimate this card, I questioned why this card was even in the game. Let alone because this card's been around for a while, and I don't think we're scraping the bottom of the barrel yet. You got cool themes like Exiles and Young Avengers and things like that. But this card has been around for a long time, and I was like, why? Maybe you put this card in, I get it, but why would you make this your season pass card? Why would people pay money for this card? Why would somebody use tokens for this card? Why would anybody want Zabu? But I want Zabu. And I wish I'd had Zabu a long time ago, because then I could have used him even more when his power was an ongoing instead of an on reveal.
Back in his prime.
But I still got a lot of prime Zabu, and Zabu still makes his way into a lot of my decks. Now, for those of you who don't know, Zabu is Khazar's pet saber-toothed tiger. I believe I may have even said on here, Zabu is like if you had a Khazar action figure, Zabu would be an accessory. He's barely even a character.
He is the battle cat to the Khazar He-Man.
I love Battle Cat. I'm thrilled we have a Jeff the Land Shark. I'm glad we have Lockjaw, but I don't know. Zabu was just, I don't know. He's just a saber-toothed tiger. Not particularly adorable. Doesn't have any special powers, but and Marvel Snap. Marvel Snap, he's a 2-cost 3 power, and he used to be an ongoing power that all your 4-cost cards cost 3, which suddenly let you play 2 4-cost cards on turn 6, or could get Mr. Negative or Wong out in the game a little sooner. Now they moved it to an on-reveal because too many people realized Zabu was just too freaking awesome. If you want to get Wong or Mr. Negative out there early, you either got to go Psylocke or you got to go Zabu. Sometimes I have them both in there. Even though they nerfed him, Zabu, he's not like he used to be one of the cards that I was like, well, you can just put him in any. As long as you've got a 4-cost card in your deck, why wouldn't you want Zabu in? Well, I don't have to all the time now, but he's still an extremely useful card. And I've always been more of a dog person than a cat person, but I use him more than Lockjaw. Now, if you give me the choice of who to read a comic about, I'm still picking Lockjaw. But I think Zabu's been a pet Avenger. I got to give him his due. I underestimated him and I disrespected him. Even though he's not the most exciting character to me, he's still better to hang around with than Sebastian Shaw or the Hood.
Good point. Good pick. Yeah, I remember
that was the one when I thought cards I underestimated. I was like, okay, well, there's Zabu, and then there's other cards maybe I didn't understand. But Zabu, I owe an apology. I disrespected him. I question, like, Zero is still the card that I'm surprised even exists. Like, there's another Zero running around in the X-Men comics that has nothing to do with this dude. Like, Strife's not even in the game, and the only thing Zero did in the comics was be Strife's mode of transportation.
Right, that's all he did.
Even then, I'm like, well, that's kind of a wacky offbeat pick, but Zabu, I'm just like, why, Boo? Zabu is here to kick butt and be awesome.
Yes, that's right.
And to get Wong to the party early.
That's right. And Wong is riding that saber-toothed tiger into the party. Oh, man. That's great. That's good stuff right there, folks. That was our top 5 cards, Marvel Snap cards that we underestimated. We hope you enjoyed it. Listen, that is going to bring everything to a close here. There will be a special battle episode that is going to be airing, but Evan Bevins did not participate. This is the first time that we had a battle outside of us pair, myself and Evan, where I decided to take on Mark Radlich's son, Jonas. And this is going to be a video battle, so watch out for that to happen on YouTube here pretty soon. I've got the video, I just need to get it uploaded. And there's been a few battles between me and Evan where it come down to like the last turn. Same thing happened here. We played 3 friendly battles, and he put up a fight, I put up a fight, and it's good. So you want to stick around to the very end and watch us. Plus, there's an M'Baku moment in that video.
Nice.
It just doesn't go my way.
And
it is the one time that M'Baku can actually not work out in your favor.
Yeah. Well, I look forward to seeing that, and then hopefully next month you'll be a little more serious about meeting my contract demands and making sure that the right amount of M&Ms are in the green room.
And they all got to be like red, right? All red M&Ms.
You don't even listen.
In the green room?
I didn't. I'm just messing with you. Just being a diva.
Oh, heavens.
That was a reference to The Office.
Another reference to the...
No, it wasn't.
That was
what's real, what's illusion, Jesse.
I know.
Maybe we should do plugs.
I know it's 10:50 and everything's becoming an illusion pretty quickly. Yeah, let's get into plugs, man. What do you got going on over on asterisk 51?
Okay. At asterisk 51.blogspot.com, but that's not at earthlink.net or anything. Okay?
Oh, okay. All right, gotcha.
Wait. I'll wait to see the episode. You'll have a link to asterisk 57 at earthlink.net.
What kind of craziness we're going to get to?
geocities.org. So I'm going to go look that up after we finish. Anyway, I just finished up the read through of the initial run of Amalgam titles with the X Patrol, which is a cross between the Doom Patrol and X Force.
Oh, yeah.
Including Dial Husk for Hero.
Wow.
So that's been pretty interesting. I'm getting ready to launch into the second wave of those titles before too long. Also checking in with some free comic book day offerings from 2024 and years past. # Free Comic Friday. And just went through, in honor of the Olympics, an anime called Napping Princess, which is set against the backdrop of the 2020 Tokyo Olympics that actually took place in 2021, which would have been a great time to review the movie, but I did it this year, so deal with it. And that's a # Dollar Tree Cinema. You never know what you'll find there for $1.25, especially if you're willing to buy the boxes that have foreign language titles on them. It still have an English language track on the DVD. So there you go, a little tip from me to you. Check that out on asterisk51.blogspot.com, and then I pop up on some of Jesse's other shows whenever they need someone to talk about some weird 90s comics or Booster Gold, and check it out.
Definitely. All right. Well, anyway, go check out the Source Material Comics podcast, where we talk about comics of any era. You're listening to the Source Material Comics feed right now. So if you're subscribed, you should be getting these once a week, those types of shows once a week. I think recently myself, Mark Radulich, dropped an episode where we discussed the second volume of Alias. That's right. Jessica Jones is getting into some more shenanigans. Actually, I think this was a very poignant tale called Rebecca, Please Come Home, or Please Come Home, Rebecca, or something along those lines. Anyway, it's about a girl who initially is thought dead, but turns out she ran away. And there's a lot of small town prejudices get talked about. So anyway, check that out. Me and Mark Radulich discussed that. I don't think it's that episode, but the following episode, I'm starting to do a thing where I add a little bit of extra AI content to the shows. So I will go and possibly, for example, the third volume is going to feature Maddie Franklin. Do you recognize that name?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So
the former Spider-Woman / Spider-Man.
Correct. I didn't know anything about Maddie Franklin when we read these issues of Alias. And so at the end of that episode of Alias, I do a whole thing on Maddie Franklin. So you get to learn the history up to that point and after of the third Spider-Woman. So you get a chance to listen to that. That should be showing up there in a week or so. That's a long plug for Source Material, but check out Unspoken Issues. Evan kind of mentioned he's on some shows hanging out with me, and that's one of them where we talk 90s comics. I just posted the schedule. I'm at a point where I am like legit 2 months ahead when it comes to the schedule. I have got shows already in the can, ready to go. Unspoken Issues. Upcoming is going to be Death's Head Volume 2, Death's Head 2 Volume 1. You, me, and Chris get together and talk Heroes for Hire, but that's not airing until September 23rd. That's how far I am. But Heroes for Hire, and you get to hear the song That's right. The Suno classic, Heroes for Hire, will be airing. I think you get to hear a little bit of that at the beginning, and then you get to hear the full song at the end. We're doing some fun stuff with AI music, too. Anyway, that's it. We're getting out of here. Thanks for joining us this month. We are excited that you got to listen to us jaw about Marvel Snap. We'll be back in here to kind of update you on our alliance there next month and any other kind of crazy stuff that's going to be happening. So for Evan Bevins, I'm Jesse Starcher. Thanks for joining us. Have a good one. Bye. Bye.